Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. So in today's video I'm going to be doing a Halloween theme. So I have bought some of these little pumpkins that are so cute. I've got 3 different sizes. So what I'm going to do is decorate them with my own papers that I've dyed with coloured inks. So this was the result of the one with the sort of blue papers that I created. If you remember a while back, I showed you some papers that I'd made using inks and creating a sort of gradation of colour using different inks, and quite a lot of you really liked these papers and were quite fascinated as to how I made them. So for today's video I'm going to do the same technique, but I'm going to use more of an autumnal colour palette, but it's exactly the same process if you do prefer the blues, which is my sort of usual go-to colour. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so I'm just going to talk to you a little bit about what this project's involved. My microphone died on me. I don't know what happened at the start of the video, but I'll just do a voiceover for this part. So I'm just showing you the pumpkins that I bought from the local supermarket that I'm going to use for this project. So I went for 3 different sizes. I do think things in 3s always look better, 3s or 5s if you're displaying things. So I'm going to cover the pumpkins with white gesso to begin with, and I'm just showing you a little tip there. I was just about the end of that tube, so I just snipped the top off so you can get to the bottom when it's not squeezing out anymore. So I had to do a couple of coats on this pumpkin to cover it up, and that will give your papers better adhesion, and also it'll make the papers brighter if it's against the white background, because they're quite transparent, the papers. So I've gone and painted all 3 of these pumpkins. I had a little practice with this one here, so I used the blue papers for that project, and I had created these papers before and I'd showed them on Instagram, so I just wanted to show you how I might use these in maybe a journal to separate some pages. There's lots of different ways you could use these papers other than this project, so they're really handy to have in your stash. Quite nice collage papers. So the paper that this is a sort of plastic sheet that I have on a roll. It's actually for flooring. I've had it in my shed, and I love reusing things for other purposes. So if you don't have this sort of things, maybe like a garden rubbish bag, you know, the thicker plastic would work the same. The solid sheets of Perspex don't work, or glass. I did try them and the paper just stuck to them. So it has to be something that's flexible, like this piece of plastic. So I've gone for 2 different colorways there. So and on the wet strength tissue paper. So this paper is one of my favourite collage papers. I like it because it can handle a lot of water and glue, and it becomes transparent when it's glued down. So I've just cut it to smaller pieces that would roughly fit the size of the largest pumpkin there. But you can make these collage papers in any size you want if you're working on larger scale paintings, for instance. The sheets come in a lot bigger size when you order them online, and I usually just cut them up to smaller pieces. So I've got a colour, I've forgotten the word, a colour wheel, that's one. So this is showing the 2 different sides. So at the moment I'm going to be working with the warm colours, and the colours are side by side, which means they are analogous with each other. So if you go for colours that are all side by side, they're not going to go muddy when they blend together. So that's the sort of idea behind this. And I can't remember where I got this colour wheel, but I've had a few people asking me. So if you just search colour wheel printable online, you could find something similar. I just printed it out and stuck it to a piece of card. So the palette here I've got, it's got individual little holes in it so that you can separate your colours. So I quite like this little flower shaped palette. It's for watercolours as well. And I'm just showing you some of the inks I've got there, some various ones I've picked up in different places, but Liquitex and the FW inks are my main inks that I usually go for, and I'll put the links for them below in the description, as well as the blue ones. If you wanted to try this project in the blue, I'll share the colours I used for the blue papers. So you can either cut these papers up using scissors or ripping them. I think I preferred the ripping because it gave you a softer edge and it wasn't quite so harsh. So here I'm just popping some gloves on to protect my hands because it does get a bit messy, this process. Oh, and I forgot to mention it's matte medium glue that I'll be gluing the papers on with. Okay, so I'm just going to start by painting one of these sheets. So this is the sheet of plastic. As I said, it's quite flexible, so it's not going to stick to that. So I've got a sheet of wet strength tissue paper. So I'm going to start with the sort of more pinky red colour there. So the idea for these papers came from a course from an artist called Kasia Clark, and she has a course where she shares lots of different techniques on how to create unusual collage papers using wet strength tissue paper. So I messaged her and I asked her was it okay to share this little bit of the video, because obviously it was her course, so I just had to check that with her, but she was fine with that. So this was just one of the simple techniques and using the plastic that she shared. So I really enjoyed that course, and I'll put the link for that as well down below if you wanted to check out Kasia's full course. She's got loads of great tips and tricks and unique ideas for your collage papers in that course. So what I've done here is I'm blending with the water and the inks. So sometimes I'll let this dry and it'll be enough, and sometimes I'll go back and do a second layer. So we'll see how it dries. It takes quite a while to dry. So quite often I'll do these, leave them overnight and then go back and see if it needs another layer the next day. But I'll show you a quicker technique in a minute if you're like me. Today I was in a wee bit of a rush to be able to film this video for you. So I'm just blending that out. So I'm going to try trying to get sort of different colours on the papers. So I've got some gold ink there, so I'm just going to try to blend that in. When it dries, it's really beautiful. I really like the gold mixing with the inks. So I'm just kind of pushing it into the watery areas there. The paper will take quite a lot of water before it starts to rip, but you just got to be careful. So you'll see I'm not cleaning my brush in between because the colours are analogous. They're not going to go muddy, so you can sort of go back and forward between the colours using the one brush there. So in this next part of the video, I have some papers that I've already worked on that I'm going to add some more layers to. This bottom section here was a bit sort of browny dark colour. I wasn't really that keen on it, so I'm going to try and add some more of the pinky red just to kind of warm up again. So the Liquitex inks have got a dropper in them, so it's quite easy to take some of that out. So you can see that's a little bit more pink. So I'm just trying to sort of add another layer to this piece. Just trying that colour down there and seeing if I can get it a bit brighter with the brighter pink there. Add in some water to sort of blend them together. And then some gold. So this is quite a lighter one, so I didn't want to do too much to this one. I want to keep that lightness, but I'm just going to darken along the top there. Just sort of fading it out with the water there, and I've decided that's enough for that one. I just want to keep it a bit of gradation. This one here I had actually already added a second layer to, so I think I'm just going to leave that one as it is. Okay, so I've come back from my break. I was taking my daughter up to get her hair cut, and the papers were still a little bit wet, so I decided to speed up the process with using an iron. So if you peel these off when they're wet, they're likely to rip. So what I'm doing is taking a piece of paper and placing them between two sheets and just gently going over with the hot iron just to dry them out completely. So you put your nice paper there. And try this one. So if I peel that off, it's going to rip. So I just need to put a piece of paper on first, just to dry the top layer. It comes away quite easily once it's dried. I'm going to burn myself with the iron here. So that was one of the ones I was going to add layers to, but I actually quite like it as it is, so I think I'll just leave that one. Okay, so I'm going to start by cutting these up into strips. So I think I'm going to start with the bigger one here. So I've got a little dish for my matte medium. Let me shake first. And then I like to use just a flat brush to apply the glue. So I'm just going to start applying it down one side. Now this glue dries clear, and it works well with the tissue paper. So I'm just going to start layering these papers on, pushing them into the center. I'm not too worried at the bottom if they kind of overlap, because you're not really going to see that bit. Okay, so I'm getting close to finishing this one now. Some of the papers I've been tearing. So when you tear a paper, there's a right and a wrong way, which makes it easier. But same as fabric. So this paper is easier to tear down the way. So, but I'm not getting the spectrum of colours when I do it that way. So it just depends what sort of look you're going for. It's definitely easier to tear it this way than the other way to get the thin strips I'm looking for. Okay, so let's try and fill these last pieces here. Having the torn edge definitely looks more organic than this straight edge, so I think it looks better if you can do it that way. Okay, so that's them dried now, or just about. And I'm quite pleased with these finished pieces, but I think at the top I'd like to add some gold paint just for a little stock there. I did go around the top with a bit more ink just to sort of unify around the top area. I went around with a darker blue inside there. But I think the gold will just finish it off nicely. So I'm just using a dry brush and some gold acrylic paint. It might take 2 or 3 layers just to sort of build it up to make it quite sparkly. So we better to do thinner layers and just do a few rather than thick, and it'll just crack off. Okay, so I think that gives them a nice finish. I'll maybe do the little blue one as well. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you enjoyed the video, if you hit the like button, perhaps leave me a little comment, and if you haven't already done so, please hit the subscribe button. Okay, everyone, thanks for watching. Bye for now.